Welcome to the You Empowered podcast with your host, Justine Jetty. If you want to unlock your potential and step into the most authentic, healthiest, and happiest version of you, then you're in the right place. Each week, we'll dive into practical, evidence-based strategies for your habits, mindset, and health so you can create a life and a body you love. Let's get into it. Hello and welcome back to the You Empowered podcast. This is the first episode of 2026, so Happy New Year. I hope that wherever you're listening from right now, that you've had a restorative break and managed to slow down at least a little bit over the holiday period. Being the first episode of this new year, I thought that a good place to start would be talking about mental decluttering. Because I don't know about you, but towards the end of last year, before Christmas, I noticed that I was spending a lot of time in my head overthinking, feeling constantly busy, noisy, and switched on. And it doesn't matter how motivated you are, everything else feels a lot harder than it needs to be when your brain feels overwhelmed or when your mind feels overwhelmed. So if you're listening to this right now and you're thinking, yeah, that's me, my brain just never switches off, then this episode is for you. You are not alone. I speak to women on a daily basis who wake up tired, not because they've slept badly, but because their brain just never shuts off. So if you feel like your brain feels like a computer with like 50 tabs open, so if that's you, I feel you, you're in the right place. Like I mentioned over the last few weeks, I've spoken to a lot of women who have complained that they have constant internal chatter, whether it's planning their day, replaying conversations, thinking about food, work, kids' schedules, life admin, the list goes on. So you can feel busy even when you're sitting still. And I don't know if anyone can relate to that, but simple decisions can feel really exhausting when your brain is overwhelmed and when you're overthinking. And when you get to the end of your day and you're mentally fried, you can lie there and still not be able to switch off. So if this sounds familiar, this isn't because you're bad at relaxing, it's because your brain is overloaded. So the reason why I'm bringing this episode to you today is because I noticed this more so at the start of a new year. Right now, everyone's talking about their New Year's resolutions. There's a lot of pressure to, set more goals, bigger goals, more habits, more discipline, more motivation. And even though it's set with good intentions, that can really backfire because women tend to focus more on fixing their habits without first looking at their capacity and their mental capacity and load as well. And a cluttered brain cannot execute consistently, no matter how badly you want results and no matter how motivated that you are. So supporting your mind first is really going to support you in order to execute and in order to stay focused and in order to set goals that meet you where you're at and your ability to follow through on them because the noise around you is reduced. So let me start by sharing a few neuroscience facts about how your brain actually works, because this is going to support you in understanding why you feel mentally fatigued and overwhelmed. And then I'm going to get into the practical stuff you can take away from this episode and start implementing so that you can support yourself with this. So the first thing that you may or may not know is that your brain treats unfinished thoughts like unfinished tasks. So these are called open loops, and any open loop is something that you need to remember, decide, or come back to, and that takes up mental space. So your brain keeps replaying those thoughts because it doesn't trust you that you'll remember them later. This is why you overthink even when nothing's happening. Your brain is overthinking to try and protect you. The second neuroscience fact, if you're a woman listening to this in perimenopause, is decision fatigue happens faster in perimenopause because of the hormonal changes that affect your cognitive filtering and emotional regulation. So this doesn't mean that your brain's weaker or that you're losing intelligence. It's just that you're losing tolerance for unnecessary decisions. So the more decisions you have to make, the faster that mental fatigue sets in, which is where avoidance happens and procrastination happens. And the third interesting neuroscience fact that I want you to understand on how your brain operates and how you operate is that mental fatigue will show up before physical fatigue does. And this is why I see a lot of women blame not having motivation or a lack of motivation on why they're not consistent with their health and fitness goals. But the truth is, your body is physically capable of doing a workout or going for a walk, but it's because you're mentally overwhelmed and fatigued that you can't bring yourself to do that. So most habit failure is actually not physical at all. It's cognitive. It starts in your mind. And if that's you right now, I just want you to know that there's no shame there. You're not lazy. It's just that your brain's tired, that you're mentally overwhelmed and you're mentally fatigued. So what can actually help you to declutter your mind? The first thing that I highly recommend doing is setting aside the same time every single day and capping this to just 5 minutes. But for 5 minutes, you're going to do a brain dump. And there's a few rules to make this effective for you. The first is choose a place to do your brain dump. So whether that's on a voice notes app, whether it's using notes on your phone, whether it's a file on your computer, or using a physical paper journal with paper and pen. But pick the same place to do your brain dump every single day. That's really important. The second is you're going to time cap it, as I said, to 5 minutes. And the third is brain dumping is not journaling. I just want to clarify the difference. Journaling is asking yourself reflective questions like, how did I feel today? What did I do well today? What can I do differently? Whatever. That's journaling, and that's journaling prompts. Brain dumping is quite literally writing out a list, a messy list. It can be a messy list. It can be disorganized. Literally writing out your thoughts on paper. So it could sound like this: buy dog food, chat with boss today, piss me off, need to take car in for a checkup, like whatever it is. Like it can be messy, it can be disorganized. You're not trying to fix anything, or like, as I said before, you're not trying to intellectualize it or like fix it. You're simply putting out your thoughts on paper. And so it's just simply to get it out of your head. And you want to do it at the same time so it becomes a habit for you or a routine for you to do it. But that's going to help close those loops in your brain that are keeping you feeling that mental overwhelm. So that's the first thing you're going to do. The second thing you're going to do is take one of those loops that you've written down from one of your brain dump days and tick it off. It could be sending one email, booking one appointment, or making one decision. But just focus on closing one loop physically a day. The third is to reduce the decisions you make on a daily basis. So the more decisions you have to make on a daily basis, the more overwhelmed that your brain gets. So this could look like having the same breakfast every day, at least Monday to Friday. It could be choosing between 2 lunch options as opposed to 5. It could be setting out your clothes that you're going to wear to work, on Sunday for the week, so you don't have to wake up and think about that. It's looking at the low-hanging fruit in terms of your decision-making and seeing how you can essentially take that off your brain's table so that you're not thinking about it and it's another decision that you have to make that day. So those are the 3 steps that I would highly recommend in order to start decluttering your mind. I also want to give you 3 practical steps that are going to help you to sharpen your focus and mental clarity. So the first is to protect the first hour of your day. What this means is avoid problem solving and decision making in the first hour of your day. So ideally you want to use that first hour. You could use it for some light movement, for getting like a high protein breakfast in, getting some hydration in, but just let your brain ramp up gradually. Don't make the first hour be where you have to make a lot of decisions and you have to do a lot using your mind. The second is to move your body in order to clear your head. So going for a daily walking has been shown to really help with mental clarity, but this could also be doing a training session or light movement. It's choosing one physical activity on a daily basis that helps bring you presently back into your body rather than living in your head. And the third, which I highly recommend, is to set the boundary with yourself to not make any big decisions or problem solving or planning after a certain time in your evening. So it could be like a 5 p.m. cutoff. It could be like whatever time that you think is right for you. But ideally, you want to give your brain a few hours before bed to really unwind and switch off and start to prepare you for sleep. If you're using, the last hour or the last few hours before you go to bed to, make decisions, problem solve something, plan something, or do work, or whatever it is, your brain is going to be active, and that's going to impact your sleep. It's going to impact you falling asleep, and it's going to impact you staying asleep. So have a mental off-ramp in your evening to protect your brain and to allow it to really just unwind and relax before you go to bed. I hope that today's episode was supportive for you. If it was, do me a favor. Please make sure you're subscribed and share it with a friend who needs to hear this. I want to end the episode by sharing with you some exciting news. I'm going to be launching a brand new coaching membership called Her Aligned Coaching Membership, which is for women who want to make this year the year that they finally lose fat and fatigue for good. This is perfect for you if you're not able to afford working with a coach one-on-one, but you need a personalized approach, accountability, and the right support that generic apps and Google can't give you. So if you're interested in this and interested in finding out more, I'm leaving a link in my show notes to put you on the wait list. I'm only going to be emailing those that are on the wait list all the information. So you can click on that link in the show notes. We'll be starting the first week of February. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you, and I'll see you on the next episode.